I will heal your eyes, your grace, Ririette vowed, determination etched on her face as she prepared to do something. She pleaded, so please, allow me to stay by your side. Seriously, those eyes could melt glaciers. Lying on the bed, Ririette wondered, I definitely died. Why am I still alive? Talk about an existential crisis before breakfast. Before I even turned 30, she thought, clinging to the sheets. It wasn't fair, although she did look about 10. A priestess rushed in, baby Ririette in her arms. High priest, she cried. A baby was abandoned in front of the temple. What should we do? She asked desperately. The high priest scoffed. Such a trivial matter to bother people with. Send the baby to the nearest orphanage. So much for divine compassion. But then he stopped, eyes widening. That baby has divine power. Divine power, healing any illness or wound, a gift only possessed by the chosen few. Someone demonstrating the effects of divine power, healing someone injured. The high priest's greed surfaced. For an abandoned baby to have such a rare gift, this is a chance to restore the authority of the declining temple, he realized. Cha-ching. He grinned, evil plans brewing. From now on, I will raise this baby. The high priest named the baby Ririette, it was said. It was the name of a saint who once saved the continent in ancient times. A baby with divine power has come to me, he declared. It is a child sent by the goddess herself. He continued to smile, though the child is too young to wield it. Once they grow, they will hold an extraordinary ability, he said, being able to heal any illness or wound without a doubt. The high priest, surrounded by grasping hands, when the child's power manifests, please use it for me. I beg of you, the irony. However, contrary to the high priest's expectations, I could not use my divine power, even after several years, Ririette noted. The high priest, frustrated, questioned with anger, why on earth? You clearly have divine power, so why can't you manifest it? The high priest screamed. Ririette could only apologize. I'm sorry, high priest. I'll try again, young Ririette said with determination, though her eyes betrayed her fear. Ririette tried to focus, internalizing as she said, gather the divine power within me and release it outward. She tried with all her might. Then the divine power will shine as a pure white light, but no matter how hard I tried, the power wouldn't manifest. You useless thing, the high priest lashed out, the threat clear. Ririette, in pain, begged for forgiveness. Completely useless. I am sorry, I was wrong. The words died in her throat, the pain too much. Noel, a fellow priestess, knelt beside Ririette offering comfort. I'm sorry, Riri. Noel cried. If I hadn't brought Ririette to the temple, she wouldn't have had to endure this pain. Ririette tells Noel that, if it weren't for you, Noel, I would have died in the rain. Thank you, Noel, Ririette said, a tear escaping her eye. Someone's got a soft spot. Ririette asked her, Noel, I wanted to protect you. Noel, concerned for Ririette, asked, are you okay? In the face of absolute power, she was a timid and weak lower-ranking priest, we were told of Noel. All Noel could do was, don't cry. Noel, a small smile on her face, shed tears while healing Ririette's wounds. The duality. And so time passed, the cherry blossoms bloomed, and then it all went downhill. Take this money and leave the temple, Ririette, Noel said, handing her a pouch. Ririette asked Noel, then come with me, Noel. I've sworn to devote my body and soul as repayment for the great favor the high priest has shown me, Noel thought. So she told Ririette, I cannot leave this place. But you're different, Noel thought, looking at Ririette, showing the pouch of money. Noel with a smile tells her, leave this place and live freely, Ririette. Okay, Ririette agreed tearfully, hugging Noel tight. Noel, a serious look on her face, whispered, I'll lure the priests watching over you to another place. Take that chance to escape the temple. Just beyond that door is the outside world, a place Ririette had only dreamed of. The high priest, furious, demanded, how dare you? Where do you think you're going without my permission? Ririette thought in shock, how? Just a little farther and I would have made it. This temple is mine. The high priest said in anger, did you really think I wouldn't notice a little kitten trying to escape? Don't even think about running away. In a rage, he claimed, Ririette, I cherished you like my own child. I fed you, healed you when you were sick, and even taught you how to use divine power, though you were too incompetent to wield it properly. The high priest continued to rage. And now, you've gone and done this. The high priest raised his staff. I'll punish you so that you'll never be able to commit such insolence again. Ririette, defeated, thought, this is the end. Noel grabbed Ririette, shielding her from the blow. The high priest screamed, what are you doing, Noel? Ririette hasn't done anything wrong, Noel declared boldly. I'm the one who encouraged her while she remained still, so if anyone should be punished, it should be me. As the high priest raises his staff, the view closes up on Noel. I can't hear what she's saying. Noel, I don't know what you're saying, but please stop. Noel looks at Ririette, saying with a smile, it's okay. The high priest thinks angrily, how dare you carry out such audacious actions? How dare you, Noel? The high priest screamed, his face contorted in fury. You damn bastard. I turned you into a human, and now you've forgotten your place. He ranted, swinging his staff like a child trying to crush a bug. You are a servant of the gods, my servant. I didn't mean to kill her, the high priest thought, shocked by his actions. Oh really? Watch closely, Ririette, the high priest said coldly. The reason Noel met such a terrible end is because of you. Ririette, covered in blood, realized the truth. It's because you harbored such sly thoughts. The high priest saw Ririette holding a knife and screamed, What? What are you trying to do, Ririette? Stop it right now. The high priest then suddenly got a shock. Noel, divine power. It's divine power, she can use divine power. Noel, Ririette screamed as she held her, confused by what just happened. Ririette thought, no, I still haven't been able to manifest divine power. I only discovered that I could heal others' wounds. She then noticed, with the blood inside me. When the high priest found out about it, I knew what he would do, so I desperately kept that fact hidden, Ririette admitted. Now I can finally make use of you, the high priest thought with a sinister smile. Ririette then thought with horror, how on earth am I still alive? As she looked at her reflection, Ririette noticed, I died before I turned 30, but now, I look like I am about 10 years old, right? Every time the priest threatened me, my will to live faded, Ririette thought, remembering what the high priest said, if you don't eat, Noel will also go hungry. If you die, Noel will die too. I forced myself to swallow food, I didn't want to eat for Noel's sake, and I resisted the urge to hurt my body. Ririette, chained and forced to eat, thought with sadness, but later I found out something. She knew that she was becoming my shackles, and so she had already taken her own life a long time ago, Ririette realized sadly. Noel's voice echoed in her memory, Riri, are you hurt? Did you have a scary dream? Both of them cried for an entire hour. Noel asked, really nothing's wrong, right? As Ririette replies, yeah. Even if I say that it's something absurd, Noel will definitely believe my words. Ririette thought gratefully, thank you for the handkerchief. I'll be out soon. I don't want to make Noel suffer over something that hasn't happened yet, Ririette thought sadly. As Noel waved goodbye saying, see you later, Riri. Ririette then replies, okay. Above all, I will do whatever it takes to make sure that the terrible things that happened in my past life don't repeat again, Ririette vowed, her eyes blazing with determination. The narration tells us, the high priest is an absolute being in the temple. All the priests who are present here are devoted to the high priest, so escaping from this atmosphere is an impossible task. But Ririette knew, I have no choice but to rely on external help. But Ririette then wondered, but who should I ask for help? Ririette then got an idea. Ah, the Duke of Windsorus. The Empire's ice shield, or the man known as the Monster Slayer, Ririette thought of him. It was said that he eliminated the monsters pouring in from beyond the northern mountains and protected the outskirts of the Empire. He was undoubtedly the strongest person in the Empire. Ririette thought seriously, I think the Duke suffered a serious injury around this time. Ririette knows, the saint can cure any illness. The Duke wondered, so can she heal my eyes? Ririette thought, he couldn't heal his eyes until he reached the temple, so he will surely need my strength again this time. Looking out the window, Ririette had decided, let's meet the Duke and make a deal with him. To do that, Noel holds a letter, asking, are you asking me to send a letter? Noel then wondered, and that too to the Duke of Windsorus in the north, Noel's hesitation is probably because she has an obligation to report everything related to me to the priest, Ririette thought, looking at Noel. As Noel offered, then, I'll inform the high priest about this and send the letter, Ririette interrupted, no, he will never allow it. Noel says with concern, but if you secretly send a letter and get caught, the high priest will be very angry, Ririette then replies, I'm not afraid of disobeying the high priest's orders. Noel looked at Ririette, worried, but I'm scared that Riri, who often gets harsh punishment, will get scolded severely. Ririette looked at her pleadingly, please, Noel. Noel smiles, I give up, okay, I'll try, as Ririette grabbed Noel's hand, thank you, Noel. Noel, with a smile, says, no, I'm happy that I'm able to do something for Riri. Since that day, I prayed every day earnestly with my hands clasped, Ririette says. As she prayed, Ririette thought, I hope the letter arrives safely. Please let Duke Windsorus see my letter. And a month after I sent the letter, something amazing happened in the quiet temple. A knight came to visit saying, I greet the high priest. I am William, a knight serving Duke Windsorus. The high priest asked, You must have had a hard time coming such a long way, but what brings you here? The high priest thought, Why is someone from the Duke's family here at the temple in the capital? In a more serious tone, William replied, I have come to meet the child of the goddess. The high priest responds, Oh haha, I see. You came to see our Lilliette. I was unnecessarily nervous. Then please wait a moment. The high priest responds with a smile. Lilliette greets them, Hello, I am Lilliette. William tells her, You look so ordinary. Do you really possess divine power? The high priest chimed in, Not only me, but even the other priests who can sense divine power have also unanimously proven it. Unfortunately, she hasn't manifested divine power yet, but if you give her a little more time, she will be able to unleash tremendous strength. She will be able to heal any illness or injury, William said. The high priest thinks, At that time, I plan to dedicate all that power to those who have believed in and supported our Lilliette. Equals if you pay now, you will be able to use Lilliette's power later. William said, I understand the high priest's intentions well. Then, I will donate 1 billion gold to the temple in the name of the House of Windsorus. The high priest exclaimed, 1 billion, as a huge pile of gold appeared. William continues, However, I have one request. As the high priest responds, Please say anything. William relays, the Duke of Windsorus wishes to meet the goddess's child in person. William asks, Is it okay if I take the child to the Duke of Windsorus's residence and bring her back? The high priest started to get worried, thinking, Lilliette is a precious child. She is being carefully looked after like a treasure in the temple. It would be troublesome if anything were to happen after going outside the temple. It hurts. The high priest suggested, Also, if he wishes to see Lilliette, can't the Duke come to the temple in person? As William replies, As you know, the Duke is guarding the northern border. We never know when monsters might invade, so it's not easy to leave our posts, William said. As William looked at the high priest and Lilliette, he said still, If the high priest sends the child. A huge pile of money appears, and William exclaimed, I will donate an additional 1 billion gold as a token of gratitude for sending the precious child. In total, it amounts to 2 billion gold. It was an astronomical figure that couldn't be surpassed even by the total donations made in the past year, it was told. The high priest, full of glee, said, I will send Lilliette for the sake of Duke of Windsorus, who always strives to protect the empire. As William replied, Thank you for your kindness, high priest. Lilliette's thought reveals, I can escape. William said, As you may already know, His Grace, the Duke of Windsorus, has a very bold personality. He despises waiting. The high priest with a smile replied, Understood. I will have everything prepared. Please come to pick up Lilliette in 3 days. William says, Then I'll take my leave. As Lilliette was about to leave, the high priest said, When you go outside, make sure not to say anything unnecessary, things like how you sometimes get punished because you don't listen. The high priest then threatens, If you say anything like that, it will reach me. You know what will happen after that, don't you? With a nervous look, Lilliette replies, Yes, I'll be careful. The high priest, satisfied, says, Good, go out now and get ready. As Lilliette responds, Yes. Lilliette internally thought, I feel like I could vomit at any moment. I'm glad I could pretend to be fine, but he probably thinks I'll return to the temple after meeting the Duke of Windsorus, but I'll never come back to this hellish place, Lilliette says with a resolute look. Noel tells Lilliette, Riri, I heard the news. You're going to see the Duke of Windsorus, right? To which Lilliette replies, Yeah, that's how it turned out. As soon as I heard you were heading to the north, I bought this. Noel tells Lilliette, presenting a scarf. Noel says as she puts the scarf on Lilliette, they say it's freezing up there. Lilliette responds, Noel. As Noel smiles, Don't worry, I got permission from the high priest. Noel then states, He gave me permission to buy a scarf after I told him it would be terrible if you went to such a cold place and caught a cold. As Lilliette thought, lies. The high priest wouldn't have cared at all. But Noel must have tried to persuade him several times, Lilliette thought. Then she asked, Where did you get the money? Noel replies nervously, Noel, you don't have any money. Well. Noel covers up her hair with her hat. Now that I think about it, Noel, your hair is, Lilliette notices. Noel turns away flustered as she hides her hair. No, it's just. Noel says to Lilliette, I also got permission from the high priest to cut my hair. I won't get in trouble. As Lilliette thought, silly and kind Noel. Ririette asks seriously, Noel, if I receive an opportunity to leave the temple, would you come with me? With a regretful look, Noel said, I'm sorry, Riri, I can't do that. It was said that, as the high priest who brought Noel, all alone to the temple, but it wasn't out of pure goodwill. It was revealed that it was nothing more than hypocrisy, a facade for others to see. Even so, to Noel, it felt like salvation. Ririette touches Noel's shoulder as she knows. Noel, just like in my previous life, will never leave this place. Noel hugs Ririette saying I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Riri. 3 days later. Here, please take this, William says as he takes out a chest. The high priest says with a smile, well then, off you go, Ririette. Ririette is shocked as she thought he's huge. He really looks like a bear. Ririette says to William, thank you for your help, Sir William. Ririette thought, even with divine power or whatever, she looks so small and fragile, like she could be picked up with a single finger. To think such a child could be of help to His Highness the Duke. As William replies, yes, that's not for me to judge, please get in the carriage. Ririette with a small apologetic face says, thank you. William responded, you're welcome. Well, let's move now, the Duke's knight said. As Ririette looked back at the temple, she thought, sorry Noel, I will leave this place. With a strong resolve, Ririette thought, I won't abandon her like this. I will ask the Duke to take Noel out of the temple as well. With a sad face, Ririette knew that Noel insists on staying in the temple. There's nothing I can do. Looking out of the carriage window, Ririette said, I'll wait for you, Noel. We are told that the temple in the capital and the Windsorus estate in the north are so far apart that even if you travel non-stop by carriage, it would take about a month to get there. But, William says, do not be afraid. This is a gate. It's a magic circle that transports you over long distances in a short period of time. Ah, he made it sound simple, but, Ririette thought as she looked at William. We are told that the gate has a special ability that allows it to instantly move across space. Because of this, it is strictly controlled by the state. Only royalty and a few high-ranking nobles are permitted to use it. In shock, she thought, to think that they'd use it to take just one little child. Moreover, I've heard that each use consumes an enormous amount of magical power, and the fees are very expensive. I will activate it, please close your eyes, William said. Ririette, getting dizzy as they went through the gate, thought, my head is spinning. Ririette held William's hand as she thought, ah, that's why Sir William held my hand. If he hadn't held it, I would have fallen. He didn't want to see such a disgraceful sight. The view of the mountains faded into view as William said, we've arrived. Ririette saw that snow was falling as she exclaimed, just a moment ago, it was spring. I have arrived. It was definitely spring just a moment ago, but now, all I can see is snow. Even though I've worn everything I can, it's still cold, Ririette thought. A servant calls to her, Lady Ririette, over here. It looks like a house with wheels rather than a carriage, Ririette thought. And on top of that there's deer. The antlers are huge, its body is massive, she thought. William picks her up and tells her that the weather is cold. Please get on the carriage quickly. Ririette responds, I'll get on. In thanks, Ririette politely thanks William. We are told the Windsorus Ice Castle, which is called the Ice Prison, due to its exceptionally strong walls and cold atmosphere. A servant greeted her. Welcome to the Windsor Ice, Lady Ririette. The servant introduced himself. I am Simon, the steward in charge of the castle's management. Thank you for the warm welcome, Mr. Simon, Ririette says politely. Meeting with the regent and the nobles has actually been quite helpful, Ririette thought. Since I've been presented as the child of the goddess with divine power, I was told I need to make a good impression on the nobles, it was said. At least I'm confident in my greetings, Ririette thought, clutching her hands together nervously. Simon says, it must have been a long and tiring journey, but I will guide you to the Duke right away. His Grace has been eager to meet you as soon as possible, Lady Ririette. Simon announced, Your Grace, I have brought Lady Ririette. Enter, the Duke commanded from inside the room. It looks much larger than the temple's prayer hall, Ririette thought. On the chair was Duke of Windsor Ice. It was the Lord of the cold winter land. As she walked through the halls she thought I wouldn't be nervous since I didn't meet him in my past life, but my heart is racing. Simon comforts her, don't be nervous. This is an important first meeting. You must greet him with as much courtesy as possible. Ririette takes a deep breath. That way he might think a little more favorably of me. It's a pleasure to meet you, Duke of Windsor Ice. My name is Ririette. The Duke asks her, how did you know I was injured in my eye? The Duke continued in a more serious tone. Did you not hear me? Tell me how you knew I was injured in my eye. After dying once, I returned to my childhood. I could never say that. Knowing the future means having information. It's a power that is inevitably attractive to anyone. If they find out I have such an ability, they might change their mind. I can't stand being used anymore, Ririette thought with dread. I'm sorry. It's difficult for me to explain how I came to know about the Duke's condition, but there is one thing I can say for sure. With a smile, Ririette tells him, I can heal your eyes, your grace. Isn't that what's important? Narrator interjects the audience about the doctors and sorcerers, with the knowledge of divine power. Narrative tells us, even those with divine power, rare across the continent, many have come but none could heal it. Yet here you are, a mere child, claiming you can fix it. The Duke smirks. All right, as you said, that's not what's important, if you can heal this eye. The Duke looks at her and states, I won't ask any more questions. Heal my eyes. If you do, I will grant you whatever you desire. The Duke then darkly warns, if you fail, you will have to pay the price. Ririette says nervously, I understand. She said the method I use to treat injuries is something I can't show to others. Do you want me to stay outside? The Duke's assistant replies, yes. Simon while leaving thought but, leave. The Duke thought, even if that child grabs the sword hidden in their embrace and charges at me, they won't be able to wound me. As the Duke imagined that he could take on a dragon, the narrative mentioned, well, you're someone who would be unharmed, even if an angry dragon stood before you. Then, Simon smiled and says, I look forward to working with you, Lady Ririette. Ririette thought nervously as Simon closed the door. Now that it's just the two of us, I'm even more nervous. Ririette tells us about her power, I can heal people with blood, but this power, I won't tell anyone about it. The narration continues, not even the Duke. I have divine power, but I cannot use it, Ririette thinks, her hands clasped. The Duke said, I know. That's why it was even harder to gauge. How do you plan to fix my eyes when you can't manifest divine power? Ririette said, I actually have a special medicine. This medicine will heal your grace's eyes. The Duke wonders, would you allow me to apply the medicine on you? Will it really work? Ririette wondered nervously. I told him I'm going to apply a medicine that is neither divine power nor something that is known. But I couldn't think of a better way to say it, Ririette thought as she made a fist with her hand. All right, I'll allow it. The Duke responded with a face facing away. Ririette, surprised, asked, is it really okay? As Ririette presented the medicine, the Duke said, if that's the way it's meant to be used, let's stick to that. However, the Duke then threatens, if you play a cruel prank on me, you will see all the people from the temple you were raised in burn. Ririette shows Noel with a happy face. As the narration mentioned, if that happens, even Noel. No. Ririette responds frantically with a determined look, I will never do anything that harms the Duke, really. As he looked away, the Duke thought, I feel like a scoundrel. Got it, so hurry up and treat me. This is going to take all day. Ririette says, then, excuse me. Indeed, it's a terrible wound. I can't believe it's this bad, Ririette thought, examining the Duke's injured eye. Still, it should recover faster than it did in my past life. So, calm down, Ririette. Ririette mentally coached herself. I've done it hundreds of times in my past life. This is nothing, I can do it. Looking nervous, Ririette says, I will begin now. With a shock, the Duke looks peaceful as he realized, I thought it would be bad since it's not medicine, but it's not. I've never heard of this kind of medicine. The moment it touched my skin, I didn't feel any pain, the Duke thought in shock. Ririette realized, the poison that got into your eyes is so strong that it can't be cured all at once. With a cheerful smile, Ririette says, if you keep applying the medicine for a few days, you will get better. The Duke's assistant thought, the medicine you have is quite useful. The Duke responded in a soft voice, I'm not going to do something as low as stealing medicine, so don't worry. I'm not petty enough to steal from a child. Still wearing the blindfold, the Duke thought, although I still can't see, I can tell you're exhausted. The Duke said, looking towards his assistant, Simon. Simon responded, yes, Your Highness. The Duke asks Simon, now that the treatment is over, bring the child to a room to rest. Simon responds, yes. Simon says, come with me, Ririette. Ririette responded, okay. Simon with a gentle face then states, sweet dreams, Your Highness. The Duke of Windsorus gives a polite farewell. See you tomorrow. And remember, don't look directly into his eyes because, well, you'll find out. Simon, the butler, wonders what Ririette, the little lady, did while he was out of the room. What on earth did this little lady do while I was out of the room for such a short period of time? But then, Simon chides himself, a butler shouldn't be too curious. That said, being overly inquisitive is not a trait a butler should have. Simon happily announces that Ririetta can stay in this room while at the castle. You can stay here while you are at the castle. Ririetta is overwhelmed. It's bigger than her old room at the temple. It's 10 times bigger than my old room at the temple. Ririetta thinks that the bed is big enough for several people to lie down on. Ririetta thinks that the vanity is so cute. Ririetta is fascinated by the room, which is sparkling. It feels like it belongs to a completely different world than mine, she thinks. Ririetta still can't believe it. This, really the room I will be staying in? Simon confirms, yes. Ririetta tries to suggest a smaller room, but Simon firmly states that won't be possible. Lady Ririetta is a precious guest who has come from afar to treat His Grace the Duke. It is only natural to treat you with the utmost care, says Simon. Simon wants Ririetta to feel unburdened and please rest comfortably. Don't feel burdened and please rest comfortably. Alone in the room, Ririetta thinks, but I can't feel comfortable at all, just sitting here alone. Simon insists that Ririetta must be hungry and to please enjoy the meal they've prepared. You must be hungry, please enjoy the meal we've prepared for you. With wide eyes, Ririetta asks if she'll be eating with him and the others, noting the sheer amount of food. Simon quickly replies, of course not. Simon explains that the maids and he are only there to tend to Lady Ririetta. The maids and I are only here to tend to you, Lady Ririetta. This meal is solely for you. Looking at the mountain of food, Ririetta thinks, but I can't possibly eat all of this by myself. Simon says to eat as much as you like, and leave whatever you can't finish. Eat as much as you like, and leave whatever you can't finish. If I don't eat all the food, the goddess will punish me, Ririetta says. Simon replies, what? Ririetta thinks that even though the goddess isn't someone who would get angry over such a thing, she doesn't want to do anything that might upset her, even a little. Simon realizes, I see, this child isn't any ordinary child. She possesses divine power. As she was raised in the temple, it's only natural that the temple's teachings are deeply ingrained in her. Simon apologizes, saying he failed to consider that. Ririetta stammers, no, it's okay. Simon wants to resolve this situation to avoid causing trouble for Lady Ririetta. How can we resolve this situation to avoid causing you trouble, Lady Ririette? Ririetta suggests, if you hand me a plate, I'll only take as much as I can eat. As for the untouched food, could you perhaps give it to someone who needs it? Ririetta wonders if it would be rude to give the remaining food to others. Simon assures her, not at all. The food will be handled appropriately, so please don't worry and take as much as you'd like. Ririetta says, thank you. Thank you for the meal, Ririetta says as she heads for the door. Excuse me, Lady Ririette. A maid greets her. I've come to assist you with your bath. I'm a maid. My name is Marie. The maid introduces herself. Marie says, yes, I'll take your clothes off for you. Ririetta is shocked. What? She replies, it's okay, I can do it myself. Marie is understanding. Of course, I understand, but you must be quite tired from your long journey. Marie is very eager to take care of Ririetta in the bath. If you let me take care of you, I assure you will feel restful and cozy, so please allow me to help you with your bath. Ririetta notices that the scar from when she healed the Duke earlier is still there. I can't let anyone see them. Marie apologizes for acting rudely, saying she got so excited to serve such an adorable young lady. She offers to step outside if Ririetta would be more comfortable bathing alone. I'm sorry. I got so excited to serve such an adorable young lady that I acted rudely. If you're more comfortable bathing alone, I'll step outside. Marie assures Ririetta she'll be right by the door, so please call her if she needs anything. Ririetta replies, yes, I'll do that. Thank you, says Ririetta. Marie is just doing her job. 2 hours earlier, night is approaching. It's time to help the lady with her bath. The maids are excited and ready to assist Ririetta. But only one person can go. The head maid raises her finger. They'll settle it properly, Windsor style. We'll settle it properly, Windsor style. The great bath assistants wrestling match. Marie barely managed to get a hold of an opportunity. She can't afford to burden her precious guests any longer. Healing others' wounds while failing to heal my own. Ririetta wonders what kind of divine power this is. Though it was a lot of trouble to make in secret, she's glad she brought it. The high priest's divine power was so weak that all he could do was detect the divine power of others. But when it came to herbs, no one was more knowledgeable than him. When her body was covered in wounds, he made this medicine for her, not out of kindness, but to keep his precious source of income from dying. Just thinking about it makes Ririetta shudder, but no other medicine works as well as this one. Yes, now I can relax, she thinks, looking at the bandage on her finger. So warm, Ririetta thinks, soaking in the bath. The scent of flowers makes her feel like spring has taken a new form as water. I've finished bathing. Marie apologizes. I'm sorry, Ririetta is confused, for what? Ririetta says, you were waiting for me, Marie, so I should have washed up quickly and gotten out sooner, but the water was so warm, it felt so nice. I ended up sitting in it for too long. Marie says she's glad Ririetta was satisfied with her bath. I worked hard to prepare it. If you ever feel comfortable with it, would you allow me to assist you during your bath, Lady Ririetta? I'll make sure you have an even more enjoyable time, Marie says. Let me tidy up now, Marie says. Marie wishes Lady Ririetta sweet dreams, as the room is prepared for sleep. A strange place, strange people, a strange bed. A strange scent, but none of it feels scary at all. Everyone is so kind. It was just as she thought. The Duke expresses his gratitude. Thank you. Ririetta is really glad she came here. She thinks she'll be able to have good dreams tonight. Simon wonders, what kind of medicine could Lady Ririetta have used? Wasn't it impossible to deal with the poison from that unique monster? The Duke thinks. It's said that the High Priest is very skilled with medicine. Could she have secretly brought the medicine he made? Simon wonders. Simon is getting carried away. Stop, that's enough. The Duke promised not to ask about anything. Simon touches his head and says that Lady Ririetta seemed like she was living a very harsh life at the temple. The Duke asks, what do you mean by that? Lady Ririetta. Simon runs to Ririetta's room. What's the matter, Lady Ririetta? Ririetta is nervous. Yes, it's nothing. Simon explains that last night, he told her to pull the rope when she woke up. Simon asks if the bedding was uncomfortable. Ririetta says no, it was really nice. Then why are you awake so early? Asks Simon. The sun hasn't even risen. You should rest a little longer. Ririetta answers, well, I need to pray, Ririetta says. Simon is irritated by that damned doctrine of the temple. Ririetta asks for some water to wash up. Could you prepare me some water for me to wash up? Ririetta says she doesn't have to prepare it like yesterday. Just a little water and a towel to wipe herself with will be enough. I'm sorry. I'm troubling you with such an inconvenient request so early in the morning, Ririetta apologizes. Simon's role is to ensure that Lady Ririetta can stay comfortable in this mansion. I'll prepare it right away, Simon says. Simon thinks it would be more comfortable for Ririetta to be alone while praying. It would be more comfortable for you to be alone while praying, wouldn't it? Ririetta confirms with a yes. Simon brings a tray of water and towel to Ririetta. Then, Ririetta says, thank you. Excuse me, Marie says. Simon asks if there's anything else she needs. Ririetta says, no. Simon asks if she really kneeled for an hour. Did you really kneel for an hour? Ririetta confirms. Yes. Simon wonders if there's a different way of praying in the north. Simon says no, it's not that, even those who are renowned for their piety. He's never heard of anyone praying for an hour in the morning. A mere 10-year-old child. Don't your legs hurt? Rather than saying it hurt, she just says she's fine. Simon thinks Ririetta must be exhausted from praying so early in the morning. You must be exhausted from praying so early in the morning. I'll prepare a breakfast that will give you some energy. Yes, thank you, Ririetta replies with a smile. Ririetta is shocked. Is this breakfast? This is His Grace the Duke's order. Since you're a distinguished guest, he instructed us to prepare a nutritional meal. His Grace's order, The meat today is different from yesterday's, Lady Ririetta. Crispy fried chicken, drizzled with honey, grilled salmon with butter topped with lemon slices, thick steak stir-fried with colorful vegetables. If you're human, no, even an animal would take a bite of this delicious meat. With this, even Lady Ririetta. Ririetta's meal, bread, lettuce, tomatoes, soup. I will eat well, Ririetta says before eating. As expected, the food here is really delicious. Ririetta is meeting the Duke. I'm glad I'm not as nervous as I was yesterday. I greet you, Duke of Windsorus, Ririetta says. Ririetta thinks the Duke seems to be in a bad mood for some reason. But, for some reason, you seem to be in a bad mood. The Duke wonders if something unpleasant happened during the night, or if she's angry because her eyes didn't heal all at once. He heard that she only ate as much as a sparrow for breakfast today. I'm sorry for not eating the food you prepared with such care, Ririetta says. The Duke replies, there's no need to apologize. But I was worried when you so stubbornly refused to eat, the Duke says. Is the food we have prepared here that bad? The Duke asks. Ririetta is startled. No. It was the most delicious food she's ever had. The cabbage was crisp, the grapes were sweet, the bread was soft. Especially the fried beans and carrots. It was absolutely the best. If it was that delicious, you should have at least tried some of the meat, the Duke says. I know there's a doctrine about not eating creatures with blood, but that's not something a tiny child like you is obligated to follow. The doctrine of not eating creatures with blood is not something a tiny child like you is obligated to follow. Still, I won't eat meat, Ririetta resolves. The medicine Ririetta applied to the Duke's eyes is made with the goddess's power. The Duke can't tell her exactly how he made it, though. While making that medicine, he didn't want to incur even the slightest displeasure from the goddess. Ririetta never really thought of this power as something precious. There have been many times when she wished it would just disappear, yet she still follows the doctrine. It was because of the resolution she made in her past life. Even before, the Duke came to thank her on the day she healed his eyes, and said he would give her anything in return for healing his eyes. Ririetta was hesitant. Please take me out of this place. Of course, it wasn't something she said with any expectations in mind. Taking her away from the Chancellor, who holds immense power and wealth using her divine power, would be a difficult task for anyone, no matter who it was. I just can't agree to something like this. That one short sentence was the hope and salvation from the hell she had endured. That's why she made a vow. Even if the same thing happens again, she would definitely heal your eyes, just like she did before. What if I incur the goddess's wrath and fail to heal your eyes, Duke? The Duke responds. That would be problematic, because I really want to heal your eyes, Ririetta says. The Duke thinks Ririetta is a child he's never met before. A child who doesn't even live in the northern lands. Why is this child going so far to help him? What is the source of such desperation? Once your eyes are fully healed, would you allow me to serve you another meal? When the time comes, I'll be sure to eat the meat too. The truth is, I really want to try it, Ririetta says with a smile. I'll do that, yes. She can endure as much as needed, but I just can't get used to this moment. The wound is healing. The faint pain that remained has completely disappeared. The venom in your eyes has diminished significantly. If you continue the treatment for just a few more days, you'll be fully recovered. I'll take my leave for today. Take this with you. It's been a very long time since the castle's chef made a cake. It's been several years, so I can't guarantee how it will taste. It looks delicious. Extremely, extremely, extremely delicious. The Duke wants her to try it. Ririetta hesitates. Is it okay? According to the teachings of the temple, the only living beings prohibited from being eaten are those with blood. But that doesn't mean you can freely eat anything other than meat. The Chancellor said that eating luxurious substances like sugar, salt, and pepper gradually corrupt the human body, so they were only allowed to eat them in minimal amounts. Ririetta knows that cake contains an enormous amount of sugar. What if she eats it and loses her divine power? Well, the Duke says the only thing a child should worry about when eating cake is whether their teeth will rot or not. So don't worry about unnecessary things and just eat, the Duke says, offering her a bite of cake. This is the first time she's ever had something this delicious. Thank you, Duke, Ririetta says through tears. Every morning, the treatment continued. And after each treatment, a different cake would be served. She's crying because the cake is delicious. How embarrassing. It's just the steam. She ate the cake we made. She ate the cake we made and shed tears. Simon says, yes. It was worth the effort. Can you at least get your muscles to calm down? The Duke wonders what kind of face she's making while eating the cake. The poison has disappeared completely, and your wounds are all healed now. Take your time and slowly open your eyes. I thought she'd be a much more mature child from hearing her voice. Thank goodness. This is something else. You're small. Smaller than a squirrel, perhaps, Ririetta exclaims, a squirrel. I might be a little shorter than my friends, but I'm definitely bigger than a squirrel. Looks like I've gotten too relaxed after these past few days. What if he gets mad at me? I acted so carelessly, foolish girl. Thank you. That gaze. It's just like before, exactly like this. Coming to see the Duke was the right choice. I'm so glad that your eyes are better now, Your Grace. While your words of gratitude are appreciated, it feels more like praise, which is why I like them even more. Since you've healed my eyes, now it's my turn to repay you properly. But there's something I must do first. The Duke touches Rierietta's head. Huh. Ah, right. I made a promise with the Duke a few days ago. But I didn't mean to eat this much. Just looking at all this makes her feel full. Let's eat, says the Duke. Right, even though it's a bit too much. Since this was all prepared for her, I should do my best to finish it. Thank you for the food, Ririetta exclaims. Or so I said, but they're all meat dishes, and I can't tell one apart from the other. She can't even see what's beyond the table. Maybe she should start with whatever's closest to her. The Duke offers to help. It seems like you're unsure about where to start, so let me help you. Okay. Serving food during a meal is something only subordinates do. Nobles would never do such a thing. Even she, who isn't a noble, is aware of this. And that too, a duke doing this no less. Thank you, says Ririetta. The Duke replies, it's nothing. She's had small amounts of sugar and salt before, so she didn't think eating cake would cause any serious problems. But as for meat, if she eats meat, the goddess might truly get angry, and she might lose her divine power. She's told herself so many times that it wouldn't matter even if she lost it, so why is she getting scared now? It's okay, it'll be fine now. The Duke's eyes are healed, after all. So even if her power disappears now, it won't matter anymore. I won't let myself be oppressed by this power anymore. It's delicious. It's a flavor she never got from vegetables. It's different from cake, too. It's a taste that makes her feel so energized. This is far tastier than she imagined. She just ate it right. She's smiling, isn't she? Let me see. No need, I want to see it clearly myself. Stop it, really. Ah, she's eating again. What do we do? Shall we go make more right now? You all are really clinging to each other, aren't you? How are you even managing to do that? Simon knows that they're all happy, but let me join in too. The Duke, is he, smiling? It's been so long since Simon last saw the Duke smile, since the last subjugation, in fact. Is this a good thing? Perhaps it is. Eek. With graceful and beautiful movement, how can she eat so much? When she was at the temple, she did see the high priest loading the table with a lot of food by himself. Do you have something to say? You eat so much, Ririetta comments. The Duke responds, well, I'm big, so I have to eat this much. That's true, Ririetta thinks, right, since you're as big as a bear, you must eat a lot. I thought you were huge when we first met. But now you feel even bigger. Is it good to be big? Especially when dealing with monsters. To make sure I take them down for good, I need to be strong. Wow. More than anything, it's great to be able to look down on whoever is in front of me. When I have to look up at someone, it feels awful. What are you talking about? If you keep saying things like that, Ririetta will. If I eat a lot of meat, will I grow like you, Duke? It looks like you'll be fine. Windsorus, 40 years old. Children from the north are much bigger than those from other regions. It's because they eat meat every day. So, if you want to grow bigger, make sure to eat meat diligently. I can get stronger too. My stomach was full a long time ago. But since you told me Lord Duke didn't leave any food behind, I will bring out the dessert. Ririetta is full. I'm sorry, but I'm too full to eat anymore. This is ice cream. It's a special dessert only found in the north, Simon says with a smile. Ice cream, the name is so cute. If you're full, how about just taking one bite? Normally, you have a separate stomach for digesting sweet desserts. I'll enjoy it. These past few days, she's eaten a lot of cake. She thought she'd gotten used to the sweet and soft taste, but this is completely different from cake. It's delicious. She looks so happy just from eating something like ice cream. How cute. Is there something special about it? The Duke asks. I thought you only drank tea and didn't like sweets. As expected, it's nothing special, just an obvious lump of sugar. Do you like ice cream? The Duke asks. You look like you'd be disappointed if I said no. It's okay, the Duke says. I like ice cream too, though I'm eating it for the first time today. It's become my second favorite food. No, it's just as good as cake. This sweetness, it's actually something that makes you feel good. Finally, some happy thoughts. As expected, the Duke doesn't seem that scary, Ririette thinks, and she thanks him for the delicious meal. Thank you for allowing me to have such a delicious meal. It's fine, Duke Windsor Ice replies. I'm the one who should be thanking you, you healed my eyes. I said I would grant you anything you wanted in return. The Duke's gloved hand waits, ready to grant her wish. The Duke looks down. What is it that you want? The towering castle looms in the background as Ririette makes her request. let me stay in this castle. Ririette pleads, please let me stay in this castle. The Duke thinks, I didn't assume she'd be after wealth or power, but still this. I'm not asking you to continue treating me as kindly as you are now, she continues. All I need is a small room to stay in, and just enough food so I don't go hungry. Ririette tries to make herself useful. I wasn't raised like a princess with divine power or anything of the sort. She continues, I promise to work diligently. I've learned to do everything I can. I'm good at washing and cleaning, Ririette says. I can also read and write. The Duke considers her offer. I'm sure I'll be of great use. Lilliette has the feeling, she's not an ordinary child. The high priest once cherished me, she recalls, praising me as a child of the goddess to the whole world. And to bring me here, the man says, His Grace has already paid a significant amount of money. That's business, baby. If he truly intends to let me stay in this castle, he'd likely have to negotiate with the high priest, he says with a sinister smile, gold coins dripping from his fingers. Even for someone like His Grace, hesitation is understandable. His eyes have already healed, the Duke thinks, and it wouldn't be unreasonable to decline such a difficult request and instead settle things with proper compensation. The answer is coming. Such a plain, yet long-awaited answer. Thank you, Your Grace, Ririette exclaims. Thank you, really. The Duke looks on. I'll work very hard, I promise. Ririette promises. I'll make sure you won't regret keeping me by your side. The Duke, cold as ice, thinks. This isn't goodwill I'm showing, but simply a matter of fulfilling the promised compensation. And yet, she acts as if she's received a great favor, bowing in gratitude. For this child, is it really that significant? The Duke hands her the acceptance letter. The Duke's heart feels strange. What did you just say? I repeat myself. Lady Ririette requested to stay at the Windsorus Castle. And His Grace has granted her wish. That's nonsense. The High Priest doesn't take it well. Lady Ririette sent this herself. The knight looks at the High Priest in confusion. A letter, what? The letter reads, I intend to reside at the Windsorus Castle. I don't plan to return, so do not come looking for me. This wretched girl, the High Priest's rage is palpable. I've cared for Ririette since she was a baby, he argues with the knight. That child has always treated me as a parent. There's no way she'd say such things. The High Priest denies it. The knight looks stoic. I understand your shock, but the contents of the letter are entirely true. Lady Ririette expressed a firm resolve not to return to the temple under any circumstances. No, the High Priest says, clenching his fist. I refuse to believe it. Instead, this stirs a grotesque and frightening suspicion within me. He ponders, suspicion, that the Duke of Windsorus coveted Ririette's divine power and orchestrated all this. The knight is angry. Are you suggesting that His Grace, the Duke of Windsorus, abducted Lady Ririette? How dare you insult the Duke, the protector of the Empire? The High Priest scoffs. Do you not fear for your life, High Priest? Are you threatening me right now? It's not a threat but a request to maintain decorum. Who would bother with decorum when dealing with a kidnapper? The High Priest retorts. The High Priest knows, I know very well. The Duke of Windsorus, the protector of the Empire, and one of its most powerful figures. No matter how much people adore him, anyone standing before him would have to bow their head. The High Priest is determined. Did you think I'd just let her go? Even though her divine power manifested late, the mere fact that she possesses it makes her a goose capable of laying golden eggs. And you expect to take such a child with nothing more than a single letter. If you had proposed a reasonable price, I might have at least pretended to consider it, but stealing her away like some bandit, I will never tolerate that. Having this conversation with you feels utterly pointless. The High Priest demands, take me to His Grace immediately. I'll speak to him directly. You think I'd let you take her with just a letter? He says about the Duke. Is it all right if I go? The knight replies, fine. Let's see who truly has the upper hand. The Duke smirks. Do as you wish, the knight responds. Do it, the High Priest orders. Prepare to leave for the north immediately. A nun asks with concern, is it true that Riri was kidnapped by the Duke? The High Priest says of course, since she was taken without my permission. Yes. Will Riri be all right? Did the Duke hurt Riri? I don't know. Stop asking useless questions and help with the preparations. That poor thing, the nun mutters. Noel, you're coming too, so get ready, the High Priest says. It's cumbersome, but I'll take you along. You'll be useful in some way. How sweet. You've prepared quickly, the knight observes. Isn't it something we need to hurry with? The High Priest urges. Is that so? Then let's depart, the knight responds. Let's go, the knight orders, the carriage awaits. Aren't we using the gate? The high priest asks. Using the gate requires a lot of money and magic. Therefore, when the Windsorus family uses the gate, it's only for very urgent matters. Are you saying this matter isn't urgent? The high priest explodes. The duke thinks, from the duke's point of view, it's not. That doesn't make any sense. We don't have time for such a long journey, the high priest complains. Even so, it was the chancellor who decided to visit. The knight explains. Lilliette has been staying at the castle for 2 weeks now. And ever since she heard that the chancellor would come to her immediately, that's not it. She's been checking the window like this every day. The cute girl is waiting behind the window, like a terrified rabbit. Even though they're the rules of the temple, if she was forced to live a harsh life, it's only natural. The rumors that the chancellor cherishes Lady Lilliette like a daughter must be lies. Butler is thinking about a plan. Damn pig, just try coming here. I'll make sure he never even thinks of coming to see Lady Lilliette again. I'll let you know as soon as the chancellor arrives. So don't worry too much and get comfortable, the butler tells Lilliette. Yes. It won't help worrying about when the high priest will arrive. Let's focus on what I can do now, Lilliette thinks. As Simon said. That's right, stop worrying and take action. Lilliette. Is there something you need? I want to work, Lilliette states. The maid screams, Lilliette, you're the duke's guest. You absolutely cannot work. I am no longer a precious guest, now that I've cured the duke's eyes. I'm just a being who does nothing, but receive luxurious service and food. I don't want to become a bother. I want to live with at least a little dignity. I'm good at laundry, cleaning and ironing. I can also read and also write. Please give me any task. I beg you, I can't ask a guest to do such work. But this is the first time you've asked for something like this. I want to go along with it. Understood, please follow me, Lilliette, thank you. Who's preparing the meal? You're in charge of that, aren't you? What time is it? Of course. If you've come, you should help out quickly. Yeah, but before that. Nice to meet you all. I'm Lilliette. Tears stream down the maid's face. Is she the one from the rumors? It's been so long since such a lovely guest has come. The maids are exited to meet Lilliette. Lilliette, what brings you here? Are you perhaps hungry? Anything you wish. I'll make it for you right away. Everyone, calm down. Lilliette is getting scared. What have we done? The reason Lilliette came here is to help with the kitchen work. How could Lilliette do such a tough job? Maid 1, she'd probably lose even if she fought with an egg. Maid 2, she can't even hold a frying pan. Lilliette, please give me any task. I'll do my best. It seems Lilliette has gotten bored staying in her room. Let's give her a proper task. Then Lilliette, without refusing. Lilliette has become quite popular among the castle maids lately. It's the first time such a petite and charming young lady has visited. Everyone was already fond of her. Seeing how diligently she works has completely won them over. Now they're clamoring to work alongside her. The competition has grown so intense that the servants are training themselves to keep up. Rule of Windsor Ice Castle. If problems arise, resolve them with action. So that's why the maid's arms have noticeably bulked up. It seems I've changed as well. Since she arrived, so many things feel different. Lady Lilliette is doing well in many ways, but there is one thing that concerns me. What is it? She still wakes up at dawn every day to pray. She's still doing that. Children should have the freedom to laze about when they're not playing. You're absolutely right. You've been eating well. Yes, I'm eating with gusto. How does it feel to eat meat every day? Have you noticed any changes in your body? Why is the Duke suddenly asking me this? My face has gotten rounder. I think I've grown a bit stronger too. And what about? Your divine power. Were you worried that eating meat might make your divine power disappear? You haven't yet fully manifested your divine power, but you should still be able to sense it. Well, how is it? Is your divine power still there? The divine power hasn't disappeared. Could it be that the Duke is interested in my power? Does he want it for himself? If that's the case, then you now understand that all the temple's rules are nonsense. Pardon. The claim that eating animals with blood or skipping daily prayers will cause divine power to disappear. It's all utter nonsense. A sacred power granted by God wouldn't vanish because of such crude regulations. So starting tomorrow, stop the dawn prayers. Why are you suddenly saying that? I thought it might be difficult for you. In both my past life and this one, I've never mentioned that dawn prayers were hard. Even on days when I wasn't feeling well, I silently endured them. It wasn't that they weren't hard, but I've never heard anyone say they must be hard for me. I'm not saying you shouldn't pray at all. If you really want to, move the time to after breakfast or in the afternoon. A child's mornings should be filled with leisure, enough to drive the adults watching them to the brink of frustration. He truly means it when he says he's worried about me. For someone like me, who's nothing at all. I'll do as you say, Your Grace. Welcome, High Priest Noel. I'll escort you to His Grace, the Duke of Windsor Ice, immediately. Very well. To make me endure such hardships, once I return to the temple, I'll make sure to scold him thoroughly. Please wait here for a moment. Finally, I can rest. Why is this sofa so cold? No matter how much money they pour into this place, the northern countryside is hopeless. The tea we prepared for your arrival, High Priest Noel, is panini. It's one of the most precious tea leaves in the north. It's warm, now I can finally feel alive again. Indeed, panini is highly valued and traded at steep prices in the north. But even here, it's typically consumed only when someone is severely ill with a high fever. Panini is effective at lowering body temperature. It might feel warm now, but may you drink to your heart's content and leave with a severe cold. Would you like another cup? A doll. I heard High Priest Noel had arrived, but a doll, and not just any doll, but from the Duke himself. Thank you. It's my first time receiving a doll as a gift. It kind of looks like me. No, that can't be, can it? There's a magic stone inside the doll that provides warmth. If you hold it, you'll find it bearable even outside your room. The castle has suddenly become freezing. Even if it's cold, endure it for a bit. When facing an enemy, never give even a shred of warmth. That's the custom of Windsor Ice Castle. The High Priest growls. It's taking quite a while. Are you ignoring me, the High Priest? The ice shield that protects the Empire. It is a great honor to meet you, Duke Windsor Ice. I am Canuto, the High Priest who serves the goddess most closely. Lilliette. The stench of rot is worse than that of any monster. A child should only see beautiful things. It's bad for their emotional development to witness anything heinous. Surely, you're not calling me heinous right now. You must cherish Lilliette very much, Duke, but no matter how fond you are of her, you cannot behave this way. Please, return Lilliette to me. No matter what you say to the Duke, it won't work. As mentioned in my letter, the child will not be returning to the temple. Lilliette, now that I see you, I understand why you sent such a letter. The Duke must have lured you in with all sorts of precious gifts. Like a kidnapper, enticing a child with candy. The Duke keeping her by his side cannot simply be out of goodwill. It must be because he covets the divine power you possess. Look who's talking. That's why I said it's not good to look at things so heinous. Take a moment to rest. Lilliette is defying me. How dare she, after all I've done to raise her? When we return, she'll face punishment until her stubbornness is gone. Your Grace, I brought something to ensure smooth communication. A letter from His Majesty, the Emperor. The Duke smiles. He knew that he was right to bring this letter with him. Lilliette is the child of the goddess, cherished and nurtured by the High Priest. Even the Duke of Windsor Ice, the ice shield of the Empire, would never be forgiven for taking such a child. I just told you, the Duke didn't force me to stay here. I begged him to let me stay here myself. Who do you think would believe that? Do you think anyone would trust the words of a mere 10-year-old? They'll think the Duke successfully brainwashed a naive child. It's not just His Majesty. Many nobles in the capital think the same. Before I arrived here, I sowed the seeds. Thanks to that, not just the Emperor and the nobles, but even the commoners in the capital have heard about this. If the Duke refuses to return Lilliette under such circumstances, people will believe he stole her from the High Priest. Then the Duke will face enormous criticism. Are you truly prepared to bear all that just to keep one child, Your Grace, Duke Windsor Ice? Is it of no use this time either? In my past life, no matter what I tried, he wouldn't let go. I can't use divine power anymore, and the High Priest might still know that yet. In that case, there might still be room for negotiation. Without my divine power, I'm of no use. Of course, if Your Grace is unwilling to take such risks, there is another way to take Lilliette. If you show sincerity, I may consider sending Lilliette back. But since she's a child with very special abilities, you'll have to present something of equal value. I don't trade money for Lilliette. She's not a commodity. I can't back down here. There are more people on my side. If he so much as touches me, the Emperor will use it as an excuse to attack the Duke. No matter how powerful he is, he can't afford a war against the Emperor. Does he think I'll fall for this flimsy intimidation? What do you intend to do, then? Will you truly risk incurring His Majesty's wrath and widespread condemnation just for that child? You, the Duke of Windsor Ice, Duke, Protector of the North. If even a minor mishap were to occur, the child would return to me willingly. She's a good child, so this time I'll use even a different approach, even if it's unfamiliar. No one can criticize me for taking Lilliette. What kind of nonsense is that? My long-lost daughter from years ago. Lilliette is my biological daughter, whom I lost a long time ago. Ah, no matter how much you desire Lilliette, saying something so absurd. What exactly is absurd? Everything, from start to finish. Lilliette was abandoned in front of a temple when she was just born. If she were truly your Grace's child, she wouldn't have been left in such a place. Didn't I just say she was my lost daughter? It happened before Windsor Ice inherited the title. What is this? Back then, Windsor Ice had a woman he loved deeply. The two of them shared a heartfelt and passionate love. But one day, the lady discovered something. That she was carrying a child. However, she couldn't tell anyone about it. The stigma of being an unmarried woman carrying a child, and the fate of a commoner woman who bore a nobleman's child, was all too predictable. The young lady immediately packed her belongings and left for the north. She wanted to find a place where she could safely give birth. After wandering for some time, she arrived in the capital. There, she finally held Lilliette in her arms, but the joy of having safely given birth was short-lived. Raising a child alone in a foreign city was incredibly difficult. So, the young lady left the baby in front of a temple dedicated to the goddess and fled. She hoped the priests, who loved and cared for everyone, would raise the child well. Windsor Ice had no idea and desperately searched for the young lady. In the end, he had to give up. Recently, however, Windsor Ice received a letter. Nonsense! How could you respond so heartlessly to such a pitiful and sorrowful story? It's an utterly unbelievable story, isn't it? At the very least, if you brought the woman who gave birth to Lilliette, maybe then. The young lady passed away from illness. Before her death, she sent a letter to Windsor Ice to let him know that his daughter existed. Although I was doubtful. She has the same silver hair and blue eyes as mine. How many people like that exist? It's not a common combination, but it's not that rare either. And besides, there isn't a single other resemblance between them. It's all lies. I absolutely cannot believe this absurd and ridiculous story. Whether you believe it or not is irrelevant. How is it irrelevant? I've been raising Lilliette until now. I am Lilliette's guardian. So are you saying you won't give up on Lilliette? Terrifying. If I were to oppose Windsor Ice now, She thought that leaving the temple would surely mean her death. The man in black reported that His Majesty, the Emperor, was closely watching the situation. He would report and await the Emperor's decision. The Duke, with a slight smile, agreed. Very well. He insisted to his subordinate that the message be delivered to His Majesty. The Duke stated that if anyone tried to take the daughter of Windsor Ice, he would not hesitate to go to war. The Duke's ring glinted, as he said they could stay comfortably in the castle until a decision was made. From the window, maids announced with great joy that the enemy had retreated. Hooray! With a kind look, the Duke offered Lily a bite to eat, knowing she must have been very tense. Lilibet hesitantly inquired if the Duke's statement about war was just to intimidate Willem, right? The Duke, serious, responded that he did not mention war lightly as mere intimidation. He continued with a gentle tone, while Lilibet looked stunned. Lilibet internally questioned the possibility of war. Lilibet contemplated what she had to say if Willem refused to give her up and dared to invoke His Majesty's power. She would say she was going back to the temple. She realized that she had to say it, but Lilibet couldn't bring herself to speak. The high priest smiled sinisterly, thinking that if Lilibet returned, they probably wouldn't leave her alone. She might never be able to leave the temple again. She realized she didn't want to leave this castle. Duke Simon gently reminded Lilibet that she kept forgetting, so he'd remind her. She responded that she healed his eyes and was simply repaying that debt. Duke Simon reassured her not to worry and just stay by his side. Lilibet, looking distressed, apologized. Simon placed his hand on her head, telling her it was all right and she could cry to her heart's content. Lilibet wondered what kind of people her parents were and what it would feel like to have them. She wished she really was the Duke's daughter. Duke Simon told her that if she was done crying, he'd like to hear her answer. The Duke asked her to stay by his side. Lilibet thought that if she stayed by his side, His Grace would face many difficulties, and it would be hard on him, but still. She blushed and declared that she'd stay by his side, even if it was shameless of her. The priest asked the Duke if he was really serious. Yes, that's correct. The priest acknowledged, but warned that they rarely had guests stay over at the temple, so the rooms might not be ideal. Would that be all right? The priest thought it was better to stay in the temple than being indebted to the clingy nobles of Windsorus. Of course. The priest led the way, saying, "This way, please." He remembered they said the room wasn't in good condition. Walking through the dark corridor, the priest inwardly questioned if it could even be called a room. "Please make yourself comfortable," Simon thought. "How am I supposed to relax in a place like this?" The priest, standing in the room, told Simon to leave him alone. "We'll stand by outside. Please rest," the priest said as he closed the door. The high priest received the magic stone and proclaimed greetings to the empire's noble emperor. Speaking as the closest servant of the goddess, the high priest asked whether they had retrieved the child abducted by the duke. The high priest received the stone and recalled how cold the castle was on arrival. Duke Simon had made sure to torment him. "Enough of these useless tales. Get to the point," he ordered. The high priest said they are claiming she is the lost daughter of the Duke of Windsor Ice. "It's undoubtedly a lie. His Grace is trying to steal Lilliette away." How vile to concoct such a disgusting lie. The high priest was sure that the emperor will deliver the punishment the duke deserves. This situation has taken a troubling turn. The high priest declared every claim that the duke made was fabricated. That child is absolutely not his Grace's biological daughter. There is no way such an extraordinary coincidence could happen in this world. The emperor asked if the high priest had a way to prove that. "Well, no, but neither does his Grace, does he? There's no way he has witnesses or anything like that." The high priest thought the Duke of Windsorus wasn't someone who would tell such a poorly crafted lie without preparation. He must have prepared witnesses and evidence solid enough to assert it as truth. He heard that the imperial family possesses a magic stone capable of determining blood relations. The high priest pleaded that they use it to expose the duke's lies to the entire world. The emperor, furious, asked if he dared involve the imperial family's secret treasure for a private matter. The high priest stammered, saying it was only because the situation was so urgent. The emperor explained the imperial treasure may only be used by members of the imperial family. From the beginning, the reason he sided with him was because he claimed that the duke had unjustly taken a child he raised. But now that Duke Simon claims she is his biological daughter, that justification no longer exists. The emperor thought, forgetting righteousness, this will only make him look like a meddling emperor who interferes too deeply in noble succession matters. The emperor declared he no longer wished to be involved in this affair. The high priest was shocked. "Why, Your Majesty, how could you say that?" The emperor reminded him he surely remembers well what he's done for him until now, doesn't he? The emperor recalled the imperial decree bearing the royal seal and the public support he stirred up on his behalf. It was never out of goodwill, it was just a strategic move to strike at the duke. And now that the desired outcome cannot be achieved, the emperor declared he intends to take what he still can. The emperor expected the high priest to show appropriate gratitude for his favor. The high priest desperately repeated, "Why, Your Majesty, Your Majesty." The high priest screamed, "Aargh." A younger priest asked what was the matter. "You're awake, high priest. Shall I fetch you some water?" The young priest asked if he should perhaps prepare a meal. The high priest, regaining his composure, ordered him to prepare to go to the duke's castle. Lilibet's attendant asked if she was certain she'd be all right alone. Lilibet replied that yes, she'd be fine. The attendant told her she'd be standing outside, so call for her if anything happened. "I will," Lilibet replied. Noel sat quietly in the room. Leary smiled and said she missed Noel. Leary knelt down and looked up to Noel, saying, "Noel, you are really pretty." Leary thought, as expected, it is as the substitute lord said. "Noel wonders who that guy is. What did you say about me?" Noel inquired. Simon, standing beside Noel, said that they said you have brainwashed yourself. Noel, being surprised by Simon, "So you say you don't want to come back?" Leary said that the reason the Duke treats Noel well is because he covets Noel's divine power. So if Leary continues to be unable to manifest her power, you will let her go then. The high priest speaking with Leary in a quiet voice, "So you were told to meet Lily and persuade her." The high priest speaking in a dark room, "So that you can come out of this castle." Noel with a fist clenched says to herself, "It's all a lie. Duke Simon thinks the Duke is that kind of person." Noel wondered if Leary will believe what I said. Leary thought, I couldn't even tell you about my plan to escape from the temple. The high priest said these are words of the substitute officer. Noel with eyes opened widely thinks, it's all a lie. The high priestess explaining, the deputy governor said a letter had arrived, but we were the ones who sent the letter first. Leary realized that coming to this castle and deciding to stay here was something Noel had hoped for, a need that was right. The high priestess, I had some worries just in case, but it's okay. The high priestess said, you look much better than when you were in the shrine. Leary at Windsor Ice says, I am the new officer sent by the governor. Leary asks, can I meet Lily? The maid gives Leary a scary gaze, although scary, wanted to protect something precious. Leary walking with the maids, you've come to a good place, Leary. Leary saying, I'm really glad. Leary asks if she's going to return to the shrine. I'll be saying yes. Noel feeling alone says, if you don't take me back instead, I will get really angry. Leary thinks the governor doesn't care about me at all. Leary says, don't do that, let's stay here together, Noel. Noel saying, of course, the substitute won't say that it's absolutely not allowed, but you can ignore that. You're not even a guardian anyway. Leary at the castle, you don't have to worry about staying here. The Duke is a good person. If I ask, he will surely grant permission. The high priestess looking worried, I'm sorry, Leary. Still, I can't leave him her. Noel looking down remembers, he is like a father to me. To say he is like a father, I was brutally beaten for attempting to escape in my past life. Noel feeling worried for not going back, if I don't go back, this time too. The high priest, smiling creepy, I can't let Noel be next to that person. Leary thinking, let's persuade somehow. If that doesn't work, let's hold on and not let them go back. After that, you will let me know how peaceful and nice this castle is. The high priestess thinking then, no matter how much Noel. Leary remembering what happened at the shrine, if I'm around, Lily gets in trouble. Noel wondering what Leary said. The high priest telling Leary she has to stay and bring Noel, or in court, the Lord is telling Leary to testify that it is all true that he committed heinous acts. Noel, I don't want to say that. The high priestess thinking, if the trial really takes place, Lily will talk about what kind of life she had in the shrine. Wait. Noel with the high priestess looks back what happened there. It was very hard and painful. The high priestess with Noel says then, will the judge side with Leary? Noel thinking, this is the first time I've seen Noel make plans. Noel thinking, I don't even consider the benefits. Perhaps this is. The high priestess smiling says, actually, I listened to the command of the deputy governor and thought about it all night. How can I be of any help to Leary? Noel says, Pandals, why are you going this far for me? The high priestess, smiling, Lily is my younger sister. Lily is I hope you are happy. Leary and the high priest hugging together. I'm doing well, Leary. Leary with the high priest is doing well. Leary, also Noel. Clearly it won't be an easy task, but nonetheless. Noel standing far away. I hope you are happy. The high priest, screaming, you should have brought them somehow, whether you beg while crying or try to scare me. The high priestesses says, if that doesn't work, you should have dragged it here by force. I'm sorry. Noel thinking, the Duke dressed her in an expensive dress, and talking nonsense about being his daughter, completely fell for it. It's ridiculous to ignore Noel and everything else. The high priest face down at Noel says, you seem like an ungrateful little girl. The Duke and the high priest argue. The Duke said that the ambassador is a precious guest who has come from afar. The high priest asks, why did you come all the way here? Are you really planning to drive me out of the north? The Duke responds, no way. Duke Simon warns that there are many dangerous beasts and monsters in the north, and that they are familiar with them, so we will take care of you while you stay in the north. The high priest angrily says nonsense. You think you can monitor under the pretext of protection. The knight asks, is everyone okay? Duke Simon, now you will believe what I say. The north is a dangerous place. Duke Simon with the knight says, it's about going back, how about, before the noble person suffers a terrible fate at the monster. Duke Simon says, you brought the monster. He continued, if we don't leave now, they'll bring more of those guys. The high priest face full of blood says, I'm not in a state where I can endure any longer. The high priest being holed by the priest, you don't have to go through such a scheme to become a capital. Is that so? I was thinking of going back. The high priest, so I hope you don't misunderstand it as running away. Duke Simon being mad, the reason I'm going to the capital is to find a way to bring Lilliette no matter what. After all, wouldn't it be better to kill this pig here? Duke Simon, in a dark tone of voice, says however, As you saw earlier, the north is very dangerous. I will protect you until I return to the capital. The high priest, in a worried tone of voice, says it is done. The knight remains cautious. How can I trust you? The emperor, in a dark setting, says that he needs to request His Majesty the Emperor to allow the use of the gate. It will come out calculatively again, but there's nothing we can do about it. The high priest says, is it that the chief priest sent by you does not intend to forgive, or are you trying to threaten me not to come back again? Duke Simon hearing that, Leary said that the Duke is definitely a good person. Mew, I'm scared. Lily holding the pendant says that it is a magical stone that can transmit sound. I'll give the remaining one to Lilliette, so if you miss her, contact me with this whenever you want. Duke Simon says that you can at least speak a little. It should be possible to ask each other how we're doing. Duke Simon giving a pendant to Leary, you said that you are a precious person to Lilliette. Since it is giving, don't attach complicated meanings and just receive it. Leary hugging the pendant says, it's as Leary said, the prince really cherishes Lily. Duke Simon, yes, Lilliette is really a lovely child. Leary hugs the pendant to her chest and says, thank you, please make Lily happy. Leary says now Lily's house is over there. It's okay not to worry. Noel says, I am connected with Noel. Noel happily expresses, thank you so much, Duke. Duke Simon, I'm glad it was helpful. Leary with one of the maids watching Noel with the Duke. Oh. The attendant, smiling, says Your Highness the Duke. Pendant of the magic stone is a treasure passed down through the generations of the royal family. I don't know. The substitute official has completely left the north through the gate. As the priest named Noel said, the attendant and the Duke, there is a possibility of holding a trial as soon as we arrive in the capital. The Duke standing at the window, it wouldn't be a bad thing if it turned out that way. Just in case, we will prepare to respond to the trial. The Duke, dig up his weaknesses thoroughly. High priest looking to the light says, the moment when a respected figure's flaws are revealed, you will receive harsher criticism. The knight, a few days ago, Duke, please assign me a task. Duke Simon, that work is surely something the servants have already handled. Noel tells the Duke, the tasks the servants give me are too easy and enjoyable. I want to do a more meaningful job than that. Noel says, the Duke has already paid me far too much. The Duke says, so you want to work to repay it. Noel thinks, I want to give something even more precious, but right now, I have nothing in my hands. Duke Simon, Lilliette, have you forgot? I've decided to tell everyone that you are my daughter. If I make you work, no one will believe that. Noel thinks, if that's the case, then it's fine, even if I am the Duke's daughter. Noel remembers, she's an illegitimate child after all. Noel says that she'll think it over and give him an answer later. Yes, thank you, sir. The Duke thinking, it seems like a fairy has appeared in the castle. Servants saying, just a moment of distraction and the work is already done. Here too. Servants say, LLATTE, let us handle it. This is our assignment. Because Lilliette really wants to work, so even when they see her working, there are people who secretly pretend not to see her. Duke Simon and the knight says, even now, should I order all the servants to stop? If the Duke do this, they will follow the directive, so repaying that damn favor will also stop. Noel thinking, I'm sorry. Because of me, the precious statue was shattered. Duke Simon with Noel, next time, I'll be more careful. Noel looks worried at the Duke. That's not the issue right now, is it? Noel thinks, this is my fault. Being scolded is what I deserve, but what have I done right to deserve crying? Duke Simon looking down at Noel, I'm sorry, I lost my temper for no reason again. Noel, ah no, it's my fault. Duke Simon, I'm sorry. The attendant, Lilliette, she's been in her room all day again today. Attendant adds that even her favorite parfait didn't get any reaction. Noel quietly says, thank you. The attendant reports that due to the chef's lack of skill, the kitchen staff is now resorting to violence to resolve things. The chef is also realizing their mistake and is willing to take responsibility. Parfait on the plate, I need a little space. Noel excuses herself and thinks what the Duke said. Duke Simon calls for Lilliette asking if she's resting. Noel with the parfait says, yes, I've rested very comfortably. Noel looks out window, the long winter has ended, spring is approaching, and the weather is getting warmer. Spring, hearing that word in the north feels so strange. Duke Simon asks Noel, so today, would you like to go out with me? Servants Noel, you startled me, suddenly lifting me up, since this is my first time going outside since arriving at the castle. Attendant reports says actually, I feel sorry for Lilliette staying in the castle all the time. The Duke, children need to go outside and play to grow up healthy. Noel looking at the gloves says, whoa, Wow, these gloves are so warm. The attendant explains, the gloves are adorned with a magical stone that retains heat. Noel in surprised voice says, a magical stone. The attendant says, yes, that's the item the Duke prepared. Seeing Miss Reet continue to wear gloves even inside the castle, I thought. Duke Simon says, her hands must be very cold, right? Noel thinks, it's just to cover up the scars. Noel thought, did he really care about something like that? The attendant shows Noel her new outfit. With these, it won't be cold even when going outside. Noel excited, thanks you. Duke Simon, well then, safe travels. On the reindeer, Duke Simon, since it's dangerous, please hold on to this rein. Noel, ah yes. Noel and Simon on reindeer. This is the forest owned by the Duke Windsorus family. Not just anyone can enter, and there's no place as quiet for a stroll as this one. Noel full of joy, wow. Noel seeing a squirrel says, your grace, look, there's a squirrel over there. Duke Simon responding with spring approaching, it's about time they woke up. Duke Simon, if you want to see it up close, just sprinkle some food on the ground. It's probably hungry, so it'll come over here. Noel responding, okay. Noel seeing a giant squirrel, squirrel. Noel and Duke Simon with the big squirrel, he wasn't just saying that randomly. I'm really just the size of a squirrel, huh? Noel thinking, how big are truly large animals? Noel smiling looking at a bear, like a bear or something, though it's rare to encounter one. Seeing the bear, a real bear. Noel smiling says, it's fine, I have Simon by my side. Duke Simon standing says no matter what shows up, I don't need to be scared. Noel looking at the bear says, I'm sorry, bear. You must be hungry, but try finding food elsewhere. Duke Simon holding Noel's face says, your face is cold. Let's head back. Noel says, I want to explore the forest a little more, but I don't want to inconvenience Simon. Noel, and I don't want to be a disobedient child, either. Noel with Duke Simon passing in front of the castle says, we're not going back to the castle. The Duke hugs Noel, just wait a moment. I'll warm you up right away. Noel surprised says that I can't move. Tell me what needs to be done, and I'll do it. The Duke and Noel in the room. Duke Simon giving Noel a drink this. It'll warm your body. Thank you, I'll drink it gratefully. The Duke looking says, he's smiling like that again. Noel drinking the drink thinks it's like spring is arriving in the middle of winter. It's delicious. Noel asks the Duke says, by the way, is there normally no caretaker here? The Duke responds, this is where I come when I want to be alone. Duke Simon, you could call it my secret base. Having a caretaker for a place like this wouldn't make sense. Noel looking around and smiles, secret base. How cute. Noel blushing, no I can't. Noel says that if I show too much, he might think I'm weird. Lilliette. Duke Simon says to Noel, will you become my daughter? Noel asks, but I already. Duke Simon says, I don't mean just pretending to be my daughter temporarily to avoid the high priest. Duke Simon says, I'm asking if you truly become my daughter. Duke Simon, this isn't to keep the high priest from taking you away. It's not out of pity for a child with nowhere to go, nor is it repayment for healing my eyes. The Duke with a sweet smile, this is my selfish desire. Noel looks into Duke Simon's eyes, I want to protect you completely, in a place where no one can interfere. I'm not asking you to answer right away. I know it must be overwhelming, suddenly asking to be your father. Duke Simon says to take your time to think about it, and let me know your decision. It's been a week since he said that. Duke Simon thinking, does she hate the idea of becoming my daughter? The knight says, Your Majesty, wouldn't it be better to appeal to Lilliette a little more? Duke Simon, appeal, yes, there's so much to gain by becoming your daughter. The knight explaining on the board, for starters, she'd become the Empire's only princess. She'd be one of the top 10 most powerful women in the Empire. Duke Simon thinking, do you think Lilliette cares about something like power? Well, she doesn't seem to have much ambition for power, even for a child. The knight exclaims that shouldn't we lay out all the cards we have? As the Duchess of Windsor Ice, she'd be able to use the gates to go anywhere. She could also freely use the finest villas owned by the Windsor Ice Duchy across all nations, and she'd be able to marry any man in the Empire. Even the Crown Prince would be a suitable match for her. The knight saying that was out of line. Attendant present papers to Noel. What is all this? These are documents detailing the rights Lilliette would gain upon officially entering the Windsor Ice ducal household. Duke Simon asked to give them to you to read whenever you feel like it, but the attendant saying that I think it would be great if you reviewed them carefully, Lilliette. They might help you make a difficult decision. Noel thinking, no matter how I think about it, this won't benefit the Duke at all. The Duke hasn't married publicly. He would be accused of having an illegitimate child. and it would seriously damage any future marriage prospects. I thought I'd just wear the title of the Duke's daughter and live as inconspicuously as possible. Then, when the High Priest's attention wanes, I'd shed even that pretense. But now, becoming his real daughter, that's an entirely different story from pretending to be one. This only benefits me. Ririette needs to nail this explanation. She prepares to tell the Duke what she thinks. Little Ririette asks to be allowed to speak with the Duke. Duke, it's Ririette. May I come in? The Duke says flatly, come in. He looks like he's already prepared for a headache. Ririette carefully asks the Duke if he's busy. He replies that he is not. Ririette begins carefully, revealing that she has seen the documents he sent. It's just, I saw the documents you sent me, did you? She tells him that she now understands the significance of the name, Windsaurus. She didn't expect so much behind a simple name. Ririette explains that the weight of being the Duke's real daughter doesn't feel like a burden to her. She is ready to accept everything that comes with the role, including all the paperwork. The Duke reflects internally, calling Simon a fool for not anticipating this. Simon, that fool. I told him she'd probably dislike something like this. A servant stands nearby, ready for orders. The Duke is going to have Simon deal with the documents again, and tells Ririette not to worry about it. Ririette apologizes if she has burdened him. Ririette looks up at the Duke, confused, and asks why he wants to adopt her. Duke, why do you want to adopt me? You have nothing to gain from it. The Duke asks, why do you think there's nothing to gain? That's because, he's got a point. Ririette tells the Duke that having a child without being married would be a disadvantage to him. Ririette is grateful the Duke wants to pretend she is his daughter and doesn't want to cause him any more trouble. The Duke observes her rejection. A clear rejection, but he looks a little pained. Ririette is shocked to hear him. So, it wasn't because you disliked the idea of me becoming your father. How could I dislike that? Ririette gushes about how amazing the Duke is. You're such a kind person, Duke. Among all the men I know, you're the most amazing. If someone like you became my father, there's nothing in the world that could make me happier. Talk about intense. The Duke says that, in that case, there's no problem with moving forward with the adoption. Ririette still doesn't understand. What could you possibly gain by going this far? What's in it for him? The Duke answers that he'd gain a kind and lovely daughter, and that she'd be better off with a real father than a fake one. He smirks slightly. He wants her to stop being so polite. Instead of saying things like gratitude or trouble, like you do now. Ririette can't understand why the Duke, who is rich and powerful, would want something so trivial as her affection. The Duke, who possesses the most wealth and power on the continent, wants something as trivial as my affection. A man, probably a servant, screams that he does not understand at all. He asks again, making sure she understands. He asks her point blank if she'll be his daughter, even wiping a tear from her eye. Won't you become my daughter? Ririette agrees, but only if he grants her one request. He says he'll do anything. Ririette worries that the Duke might change his mind or get tired of her. Someday, the Duke might change his mind. He might grow tired of keeping me around. She doesn't want to be a burden if he ends up falling in love with someone who resents her existence. If that happens, at the very least, I don't want to be a burden. She says she wants the Duke to be as happy as he made her. Ririette's request is simple. She wants to be able to leave Windsaurus Castle whenever she wants to. Please promise that I can leave the Windsaurus Castle whenever I want to. The Duke agrees immediately. Of course, you may leave Windsaurus anytime you desire. He says she can leave, even if it means leaving his side, even if it means leaving my side. Ririette thanks him and agrees to be his daughter. Thank you, I'll become your daughter, Duke. The Duke embraces Ririette, thanking her in return. Thank you, Ririette. Ririette internally comments on how strange the Duke is. The Duke is such a strange person. She describes the Duke as both cold and gentle, mature but also innocent. He seems as cold as ice, yet as gentle as spring. He looks like a perfect adult, but sometimes he's as honest as a child. She is starting to come to terms with the fact that this man is going to be her father. Now, this person is going to be my father. Ririette acknowledges that the relationship might not last, but she'll worry about that later. Even if this relationship breaks someday, that's something to worry about later. For now, she wants to enjoy this warmth. For now, I just want to savor this warmth a little longer. The Duke declares that she is his daughter. She is my daughter. Ririette hopes the servants will continue to treat her the same way now that she is his daughter. He's always referred to me as his guest. Is it okay to declare it so suddenly like this? I hope they treat me the same way they did before. The maids are excited that Ririette is now the Duke's daughter. Finally, Lady Ririette has become his daughter. A servant lets slip that he's been telling people Ririette is the Duke's long-lost daughter. Actually, I let it slip a little ahead of time. I told people you were the Duke's long-lost daughter from years ago. The maids note the changes in the Duke's behavior. The Duke absolutely detested things like cake. He used to say they were overly sweet and utterly useless for building muscle, but now, he orders new desserts to be made every day and eats them without a word. They also observe that he's been very particular about Ririette's meals and hasn't dined with anyone else in ages. They think it's obvious. What else could it be, if not a father's love for his daughter? Another maid says she's glad Ririette didn't have to go through anything too difficult. I was worried he might not officially adopt you. It's a relief that Lady Ririette didn't go through something so heartbreaking. Ririette thanks everyone for their support. Everyone, thank you so much. A maid says the castle has become livelier since Ririette arrived. The Duke is standing behind her. The castle has become livelier too. Pardon.